So you're thinking about moving to Smithville, Missouri. Well, hey, in this video, we are going to talk about 5 of the top pros and 5 of the top cons to what you would need to consider before moving or calling Smithville, Missouri your home. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to tell you one of the newest additions to Smithville that may make it worth considering. Hey, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Kansas City and places like Smithville, Missouri, then click subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you can be the first to know of the current market here in the Kansas City area. My name is Zac Morton. My business partner Max Jones, the MoJo team, and I have been helping people move to Kansas City for over 20 years. We absolutely love it, but you don't have to take my word for it. See what our clients have to say with over 600 5-star Google reviews from folks just like you. So whether you're moving today or 3 months from now, just pick up the phone. You can call us, text us, drop us an email, even schedule a Zoom. All that info is in the description below. All right, so like I said, we are in Smithville, and today we're going to go with some pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. So I think the first thing that you have to know when you're coming into Smithville is it is a lake town, right? It is a lake town. And it was originally built, there wasn't always a lake there. Originally it was the little Platte that kept flooding year after year and kept flooding the little town of Smithville. So eventually the Corps of Engineers and the state parks all got together and they dammed it. They started acquiring land back in 1979. They dammed the lake. As it filled up, it took over all these ponds and farmers' fields and covered roads. And now we have a huge 7,200 acre lake that is Corps Engineers, so you can't live on it. So it's just a nice secluded lake that is full of activity. So some of the things, of course, you got a lake, we've got boating, right? Everybody's gonna be out there on their boats. There's a couple marinas. There's a sailboat marina, you've got Sailboat Cove. So if you're into sailing, you got a place you can park there. There's restaurants, you can get food, you can rent boats. So summer is chock full of fun and boating activity on the lake. There's coves that are good for wakeboarding. Everybody's wake surfing now, and then we've got wake foiling. And then the wind sports, this lake's set up really good for wind sports. It goes north to south. So when you get that nice southern wind that comes out of the south, it blows the full length of the lake. So you get nice clean wind for you wind enthusiasts. So kiteboarding, wing surfing, sailing, all that. It's a great lake for all those things. There is a bridge at the north end. There is a bridge at the south end. So all these skiing and fast boats and all the jet skis and wave runners are between the two bridges. And then beyond that, you can go way beyond that. As these were some it's a dammed up river. So you can go way back up in there. There's still trees sticking out of the ground. That's where you're going to see your party coves, your party beaches, where everybody kind of gets together. There is like a party beach that you have to boat to that a lot of people hang out in the summertime. But then you go way back up in there and fish. There's great fishing. You've got crappie, walleye, largemouth bass. There's several tournaments that run out of there every year where the boat ramps will just be full. And there is several boat ramps, by the way, on all sides of the lake. So you can get involved in that if you're into fishing. So can't say enough about the activity. This lake, as I said, it's a Corps of Engineers, so it's surrounded by state parks. And in those state parks, you can camp. There's over 700 campsites, I believe. So amazing camping opportunities all over the lake. So when you're out there in the summer, when I'm out on the boat hanging out, you always see people out there camping and kids running around. And it's just, I don't know, I get a nice warm, fuzzy feeling of just relaxing and seeing everybody having a good time. So awesome for that. Camping, what else do we have out there? Hunting. So since this, like I said, there's no houses right around the lake. All that land is county land, and the conservation has several chunks of it. So you can, like in the fall and the winter, you can deer hunt out there. You can waterfowl hunt, goose, ducks, turkey. Then there's deer, or we said deer. Then there's rabbits and squirrels and all that. So hunting, fishing, all things outdoors there. There is a trap shooting range that's up by one of the campgrounds on Camp Branch. So you can go up there. There's a whole course set up. They do competitions, and it's a professional setup. So if you're into trap shooting, they've got you covered there. And just the lake life right next to the little town of Smithville. There is over 37 miles of paved trails that follow and meander around each cove and the edge of the lake. A lot of that will run right through the campgrounds, and then a lot of that runs right through, right into downtown Smithville as well. So awesome trail system. I know when we used to camp there when my kids were little, you just throw them on their bikes and just sit up at the campsite, and they would just be hours running around through the trees, pop out of the trees. So this gets used heavily traffic trail for bikes, jogging, whatever you want to do. Get right down to the lake. There's also mountain bike trails. They've got a single track mountain bike trail system that also kind of, as you're on the walking trail that's down by the water, you can ride that, and there'll be some offshoots where you can take a paved trail uphill, and then you can drop into the woods. In the fall, it's about the best time out here, but you can do it all summer long too. And then you're just riding through the woods, and they've got a pretty good trail system there, and they're continuing to add to it. It's busy all year round. There is a separate parking lot if you just want to do the mountain bike trail section, and that's always full every time I drive by that. I mentioned there's a couple bridges. You can fish from the shore around those bridges. You'll see a lot of people there in the summertime. One's by a boat ramp. Well, they're both by boat ramps. Different marinas at different ends of the lakes, but fish from the bank, fish from a boat. You can go down to some of the marinas, even fish off the dock. So lots of options there, lots of stuff to do, and I can't say enough about the fun and the lake life at Smithville. So that's my number one pro, is having that in your backyard. The next pro that I want to talk about is the school district. So the school district is a highly rated school district. Everybody, I've got friends, I've got family that live up there and have been through the Smithville school district system. They absolutely love it. It's right up there with any of the other top school districts in the Northland, which of course the Northland, if you've seen our other videos, is anything north of the Missouri River. They call us Northlanders. So one of the best schools up there is in our two school districts, so slightly less populated than some of the other ones south that are closer to the city. But what that brings is it's a lot easier for your kids. That if your kids are super competitive in a certain sport and they play at a very high level, still get them on a team there. But what I like about Smithville is even if your kids aren't playing at a high level and they want to play a variety of sports, since the school district, the student body is a little bit smaller, it's easier to get into that. They've got things like archery, still got basketball and football and all those great sports, and compete at a high level there. But it is easier to walk on and get some play time, even if hasn't been a sport that you started when you're 5 years old and played every season all the way up to high school just to get to that point. So that's something to consider, and what I like about the Smithville School District. It's also, what do we have? 1 high school, 1 middle school, and 3 elementary schools. So, all right, my next pro about Smithville, pro number 3, is the cost of living. So Smithville is a little further from Kansas City city center. You're probably 20 to 25 minutes straight north of downtown Kansas City. So as you get a little further from the city, house prices tend to come down a little bit, and the cost of living tends to get a little cheaper. So, and that's exactly the case with Smithville. So what we see here, the median house price is coming in right at $389. Now this is pulled directly from the MLS, or multiple listing service. Over the last 12 months of Smithville, there was 218 homes that sold in the last 12 months, and that median sales, or the average sales price, was $389. The median was coming in at $360,000, and the median is the weighted average, and the $389 is the average. Now, a lot of times we'll say, hey, that's Smithville town, and then there is also the school district. And in Kansas City, people aren't always moving to it just because they want the Smithville address. They're maybe moving to the school district, which gets you out in the county, but still gets you to the school district. But when we did that, ran those numbers, they actually were a little bit higher, and that's because Smithville is one of those places, once you get outside of the city or outside of the subdivisions, where you can find small acreage. So you can have a house on 3 acres or 5 acres, still be fairly close to the lake. You're gonna have to pay a little more for that, and that's exactly what's reflected with our average sales price of $394 when you get outside of Smithville and more into just the school district area, which is 75 square miles. Is those bigger lots, a lot of elbow room, whether you want to build something, find some land to build on, get 10 acres, 20 acres, there's still opportunities like that right around the Smithville area and right around the lake. All right, pro number 4 is small town vibe, small town feel. So I do frequent Smithville in the summertime for the lake stuff, and I've got some friends that own businesses downtown on Main Street. So I've spent a little bit of time in Smithville, and I love the vibe up there. When you get there, it's relaxed. It's kind of that beachy town feel with the lake, Main Street, although it's pretty active. It's still pretty small. It's still pretty quiet. They've got a stage down there right in the downtown square where they'll do events all summer long. So that really pulls a lot of Smithville down there for those big events. But for the most time, I mean, you'll always see somebody walking around down there. There is some great restaurants. Humphreys is probably the town favorite to grab a burger and a beer. And just a great spot to check out if you're in the area, and definitely worth looking at. And there is that trail system I said starts right in downtown. I don't recommend starting there if you want to go up and ride around the lake, because you got to go up all the way up the backside of the dam basically to get to the trail level to go around the lake, and that's probably a few miles and quite a hill. So I would go park closer to the lake if you're going to go out there and want to test out the trails and ride bikes, but you can get there. But even better would be to come from the lake down, because it's all downhill and you're just cruising. So anyway, food for thought, but super cool feeling. Downtown's charming. And the vibe I get in Smithville, I always like to say it's kind of like flip-flops and cowboy boots. So it's beachy, relaxed, but then also some country too. Everybody's cool. It's not like you either got to be a cowboy or a beach bum, but that's just kind of the vibe. Everybody's super nice. I interviewed one of the store owners when I was up there, and she said what she loves most about Smithville is the people. It's got that small town feel. Everybody's really nice, takes care of everybody, opens the door for people, say please, say thank you. All that stuff is what you will find in Smithville. Pro number 5 is location. So I really like the location on this, and what I mean by a couple of different things with location. It is very close to downtown Kansas City. You're 20 to 25 minutes, depending if you live on the south side of Smithville. There's several neighborhoods down there, or whether you're going living in the middle or the north side, you're still 20 to 25 minutes right straight down 169 highway to downtown Kansas City. Now 169 highway is the main highway that runs right up into Smithville and all the way through Smithville. But it's not a highway that really gets you anywhere other than Smithville. So people aren't taking 169 highway to get to another place. It's just people going home or going to the lake. So it's not a very heavily trafficked. It's not like some of our other highway systems that will take you up into Iowa and all the way to Canada, or vice versa, going the other ways. We got I-29 and 35 that are heavily trafficked, lots of semi trucks running on those because they're delivering goods. 169, you're not going to see that. In fact, once you get into Smithville, it's a 65 mile an hour out of downtown all the way to Smithville, and then it'll drop down to 55 and then 45, and then eventually when you get to 92 highway, you're going to have a stoplight, and then a few stoplights as you get through all the way down to Main Street. And then once you get past Main Street, you're going to go just about a half a mile more. As you get outside of town and start going north again, the speed limit's going to pick back up to 55, all the way through Smithville. So that's what I like about it. It's easy to get to, it's quick access, but you don't have all the over-the-road highway traffic. The only rush hour traffic you're going to see is just the folks that live there getting back home. So traffic's great. Even on the weekends when everybody's rolling up there in their boats and excited to hit the water, traffic's not bad at all. All right, so we have 5 pros. Now we know the great things about living in Smithville. Let's talk about what you need to know before you move there or consider it with the cons. Now some of the cons can be pros depending on what you consider a pro and a con, but let's talk about what I have on my list. So my first con, which I also said was a pro, is it is a small town. It definitely has that small town vibe. So the population for Smithville, we're talking Smithville is a 15 square mile city, and the population there is right at just over 10,000. I think it's 10,400 people. So one of the smaller towns that we've talked about if you've seen any of our other videos. One of the biggest suburbs of Kansas City is Overland Park, and that comes in at 220,000, and I'm over here talking about 10,400, just to give you an idea. So a very small town, which some people like it, lots of elbow room, nice and laid back, but it is a small town, and it's further from the city. It's further from shopping, so you're not going to have any of your big box stores there. You're going to have your basic stuff like groceries, There's a pet store and some little knick-knack stuffs and a gym and all that stuff that you kind of need from day to day. But for your Home Depots, your Lowe's, your Walmarts, your Targets, all those bigger stores, you're gonna have to travel 15, 20 minutes to get to some of your shopping areas and malls and stuff like that. That's just not gonna have in this small town. So that would be con number one. And that, I guess, led me right into my con number two with shopping. Yeah, you're not gonna have shopping right there. You're gonna have to travel a little bit for it. I mean, you get your basics covered, but you know what I mean. So that was actually my third con, was population. We kind of hit on all that right there in that first explanation. So I think really that, you know, small town, it's a little bit further away. You're not gonna have all that. And then with the population, you're just not gonna have as many people. And with that population, it takes me to my fourth con, which is jobs. So there's not gonna be a whole lot of jobs there either. I mean, we have your basic jobs, like for each of our suburbs, it's mainly it's the school district, it's the hospitals, and that again is gonna take the lead for employers up there. But then other than that, there's really not a whole lot of options. Of course, there's, you know, restaurants and that kind of stuff. But as far as career paths, there's not a lot happening in Smithville in that department. You can work for the county or do some other park and rec stuff, but not a big job pull to Smithville. However, they have been growing and they're continuing to grow, but at this point, not a huge employer sitting right there in Smithville. It's gonna pull a lot of people in there for work. My next con is restaurants. So although you can get fed in Smithville, and there are some great spots, like right downtown on Main Street, I mentioned Humphreys, which is kind of a local favorite. There's also a pizza shop, and that's actually the name of it, is Pizza Shop. If you're in Kansas City, it's a local franchise where they have a really thin cracker crust, and you'll see a few of them around the city, so that's worth checking out. There's a Mexican restaurant and, you know, a couple chains, Pizza Hut, McDonald's, all that kind of stuff. But other than that, you're not really gonna find your fine dining experience. Mostly what you're gonna see up there is bar and grills, coffee shops, barbecue shops, stuff like that. You do have a grocery store, but they don't, I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be some organic options in that store, but not a Whole Foods or anything like that you're gonna have right in Smithville. You're gonna have to travel down the road and either go towards Liberty or go towards Parkville to get to your Whole Foods type stores. All right, well, that kind of sums up the cons. I guess I had a lot more pros than cons, which I guess is a good thing. I do like Smithville, and I spend a lot of time there, so maybe that's why. But the one thing I told you, if you stuck around to the end, kind of the biggest change that maybe is a reason you're considering Smithville or thinking about it, is Facebook is putting in a brand new data center. It's going to be over 5 million, the whole footprint of the facility, or the whole footprint of the campus is over 5 million square feet for the campus, with a 1 million square foot data center facility. So Facebook, Meta, whatever they call it nowadays, is going right there. And that is just like, if you're standing on the south border of Smithville, I could probably tee up a golf ball and crack it and land right there in the Meta Center. So super close, right off of 169 highway we just talked about. Gonna bring, I mean, thousands of jobs just to build the thing. They're already under construction now. And actually, when I was up there shooting the vlog, I tried to sneak in there. I might have some video of that I'll throw up, but I tried to drive in there so you could kind of see. But they have got cranes already going to town. I think by 2024, they hope to be under operation. And what a lot of people don't know about Kansas City is we have more fiber laid in Kansas City than any other city. We're right in the middle of the country, which makes sense, right? If you were to build a spider web and you wanted to cover the whole country and connect everybody, you'd probably want to start in the middle. That way you can reach West Coast, East Coast, North Coast, South Coast, and have it all covered. And that's exactly what we have here. So that is the reason that Meta's coming here, so they can plug into that network and expand. And the forecast would be that we're going to see even more and more tech companies coming down here. I've heard some people call it the Silicon Plains is the new kind of plug for the Midwest. And we're seeing, we've got Cerner, we've got some big companies here in Kansas City that are technology companies, and I think we're just going to kind of continue to see that grow. So that being as close to Smithville as it is, with a lot of land that's still left to build and new subdivisions to start, I expect that Smithville is going to see a lot of growth over the next 20 years. I know that the Northland's already going that direction. and just a great spot to get in on something early, because I think it's going to be one of those spots. I mean, when you have a big, huge recreational lake like that right in the middle, it just makes everybody's property values go up even more. So that is the big news on Smithville. Hope you found this informative. If you did, please give it a like, hit the bell, you know, all that good stuff. Helps other people find these videos that are looking to move to Kansas City. So, hey, you know what? Relax. You've got a friend in the business. Let us know how we can help you. Love to chat with people about questions and ideas and what they're thinking, so we can kind of help you find the perfect spot for you and your family. Thanks for watching. See you next time.